Back on Inside Tennessee, our guest this morning, the former governor of Tennessee and also former mayor of Knoxville, Bill Haslam. Governor, I'm going to let Don jump in, but one quick point. You called Howard Baker your political mentor and also used this phrase that he likes a lot, or used to use all the time, I think, which is the other fella may be right. Is that sort of the bottom line? Approach a problem like that?
It really is. And one of my points to writing this book to people of faith is that's kind of a foundational truth, particularly of Christianity, but I'd argue of all religions, is this sense of humility that I'm a broken person who makes mistakes. And so if we know that's true, I know I've made 72 today of some variety. If it's true of life in general for us, we should translate that into our political life as well. Like I might not have this exactly right. And it's one of the things that Baker was firm on convictions, but knew I need to listen and make certain I have it right.
Don?
So, Governor, one of the things I found interesting in your book, when we bring this back to sort of Christian dialogue and Christian philosophy and in politics and in governing, is you made the comment that Christians have conflated politics for faith. And I found that really interesting because that's not what I saw growing up. How do we fix that? And I think you started to sort of touch on that by suggesting maybe the first thing we do is realize we could be wrong. But how do we get sort of the negative politics out of faith right now so that the good things that Christianity espouses can help govern us?
Yeah. So one thing I'd say to people of faith is start by asking yourself the question, am I really truly more worried in my gut and in my heart about losing my God or losing the next election? Because most of us if we asked ourselves that honestly, we're more worried about losing the next election. So I'd say that's a good sign that we've gone off track. I think the second thing is back to, we of all people should be saying, it's our job to get to the right answer, not just to get to our answer. If we really care about the common good that we live in the middle of, the objective should be, how do I get to the very best answer? Instead of how do I convince you of my answer? And that conflation of having the text be right as foundational to your faith is just not right.
Governor, we're on the cusp of city elections in Knoxville. We have a primary in August, and so often it's depressing to see turnout in these local elections. You've lived that life. What do you say to try to get more people to really realize that those are the people they can have great influence on and really shape their lives?
Well, one of the distressing things to me has been with people starting to watch, I'm not doing this just as a commercial for WBR, but as people start to get their news national sources, is nobody pays as much attention to local events and local news as they used to. And I can assure you that what happens in city council, county commission, and definitely in school board is going to affect your daily life a lot more than what happens in Congress. And I would tell them to engage in this. It takes a remarkably small number of votes to determine who's going to be your next city council person or county commissioner. And if you're really concerned about the direction things are going, get engaged, figure out what matters on the local level. It's different than what happens on the national level. And go vote. Your here counts a whole lot more than your vote on the national scene.
Susan?
Governor, you and I have both been involved in the Republican Party for a long time. And I can remember a time when the big tent was a phrase that we used to bring in a lot of people with diverse views. If we united, it was around smaller government, fewer taxes, strong national defense. Those issues seem to have been pushed aside for much louder rhetoric on social issues. Abortion rights, gay marriage, etc. Can our party ever get back to those issues that united us without all of this other rhetoric?
I hope so. I mean, listen, there's two ways to win election in closely divided bodies. Number one, you try to persuade some of the other side, or number two, you just double down on getting all your own people out to vote. And unfortunately, our party has decided we're going to double down on getting all of our people out to vote, which short term might work, but I don't know that it works long term. We've traded some high propensity voters for lower propensity voters in recent elections, which is not a good long-term trend. I think the other thing I'd say, Susan, you're right. I mean, for me, Republicans have always been about balanced budgets, keeping the deficit low. And if you look at what's happened in the country over the last 8 months, or 7 months, we've had a fundamental change in the fiscal structure of our country. In the meantime, our folks have been worried about Dr. Seuss, and it's a lot easier to get people fired up about those cultural touch points. Did they ban Dr. Seuss from your local library than the long-term fiscal structure of the country? But I think we're making a big mistake. The country is taking dramatic change, and I'm not sure that many people really care.
Governor, we're about to let you go, but your book is out. What is on your nightstand right now? What are you reading for summer? Any recommendations?
Yeah, I'm reading. Don't everybody, when I say this, people say, "Oh, well, he's going to run for president." I'm reading a book about the presidency called "The Hardest Job in the World," which is actually really interesting. Having been a governor, you realize how difficult the decisions are. And then I always have a couple of novels going as well, and so I have a couple of novels in that book going at the moment.
Have you ruled out ever running for office again, Governor?
I haven't. No, I mean, John,
once.
your answer to your question is I haven't, because I just think all this matters. But said that, I'm definitely not one. There's a whole lot of people planning and lining up to run for president on our side in 2024, and I'm not one of those that's spending my time trying to figure out how to get in line to do that. So you have to have a real passion in your gut to do that, and a willingness to do it full time.
Governor, we always appreciate the time. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. Fun to be with you.
All right, we'll be back
Thanks,
in a moment.
Governor.